Let's take a closer look at the front end, the client side, the browser side. I will use these terms interchangeably, by the way. And that, of course, is powered by React. Specifically there, we build a React SPA, a single page application. Now, this simply means that React is in charge of re-rendering everything in the browser. Only one HTML page, that single page that makes up this term single page application, is served from some server to the browser in the end, and thereafter React takes over, and whenever something needs to be drawn onto the screen, or whenever something needs to change on the screen or needs to be re-rendered, React will do that. For that, we'll also handle front-end or client-side routing with an extra library, React Router DOM, and this will help us render totally different React components. React is all about components. You will, by the way, also get a React refresher in one of the next modules. So the React router will help us render React components based on a path the user enters into the URL bar of the browser. So we will have the feeling of having multiple pages, but in the end it's all React and therefore JavaScript re-rendering significant parts of our page, so of what the user sees when we change the URL or when we get new data from the backend and so on. Now, in our React application, we also typically handle some front-end state. State in the end is data, you could say, that influences what is shown on the screen. And when our state changes, chances are that we want to re-render parts of the screen. React is all about managing such state, and it has built-in mechanisms to automatically re-render the parts of the screen that need to change when something changes. Now, for state management, we can use React State in class-based components. We can use hooks, a relatively kind of new feature in React, and or also for application-wide state, the Redux library. Now, as I mentioned, you will get a refresher on React later in the course, but I will not dive into every aspect of React. That would be enough for its own course, and indeed I do have such a standalone React course, which I strongly recommend that you have a look at before you dive into this course. Now, one other important part of your React application are, of course, all these components you build, because React is all about components, and how you style those. So the styling is also part of the front-end work or of the front-end application, that your application looks good. Now, as I mentioned, for the routing, we'll use React Router DOM, and there we can basically set up a route configuration and then define which React components are rendered for which path. We can implement state management with React hooks, with our custom hooks, which we'll also build throughout this course, and or with Redux. And for components and styling, we will build in this course some utility and UI components, though I will also say that throughout this course, I will also provide some finished UI components to you and some finished styles so that we don't spend the majority of the time of this course on writing basic button or input components and managing the style of these components, because that's really not the core of React and of this course, and therefore some finished components will be provided to you for this part. In general, of course, we'll build the entire React application from scratch though. And this is what React is about. It's all related to the front end, how we update it, and when things should change there. Now let's have a look at the backend.